Good evening, sports fans. My name is Brightops, and welcome to Blood Bowl 2. I've been playing a lot of this game recently in between my recordings of my Mordheim series, since I feel I should give people a couple of days to get some time to sit down, watch the videos, and have input in the series. However, I found that I've been getting somewhat impatient in my desire to get content out there, but I still wanted to keep my waiting period between episodes. Thus, I quickly came to the conclusion that I should have one or two series running alongside our brave adventurers in Mordheim in order to help pass the time and give those not interested in the City of the Damned something else to try. Because of how unreliable finding an online opponent is for tournament play, I'm going to be playing in the Old World League. The Old World League is divided into 4 divisions: Bronze, Silver, Gold, and Platinum. Each division has 10 Blood Bowl teams in it, and each season consists of a round-robin style series of games. Since all teams will battle it out with each other once, and battle is the correct term for this case, each team will have 9 matches, and their wins, draws, and losses will determine their position in their division's ladder. At the end of a season, the team at the top of the ladder of their division will move up to the next highest division, while the team at the bottom of the ladder will drop down to the division below them. So, for example, the team at the top of the Bronze division will move up to the Silver division, while the lowest team in the Silver will drop down to Bronze. On top of this, quote-unquote in-between seasons, the 4 teams at the top of the ladder in all 4 divisions will get to take part in the Mega Cup, an elimination-style contest of 4 rounds that will only leave one champion at the end. I intend to start with a brand new team filled with fresh, not punched in several times by an ogre faces, but we will be starting in the Bronze division. However, in keeping with my desire to listen to viewer feedback, much like with Mordheim, I'm going to be letting my viewers decide which team of violent misfits we will lead into their glorious future, or an early grave, depending on the will of the god of Blood Bowl, Nuffle. I will also take suggestions for team names, and intend to name the players after subscribers and known viewers. So let's introduce the various teams. First off, we've got our stock standard human team. They are effectively the jack-of-all-trades team. They're not overly good at anything, but they're not bad at anything either. This does have the benefit that if a change of tactics is required, it can be changed on the fly. But it also means that if they go up against a team that is specialized in a certain field, such as to say, fighting, they'll be at a disadvantage. Though not an unbeatable one. Next off, we have the Orcs. They're not the best at handling the ball or doing such cowardly things like running past the other team or dodging, but they are difficult to hurt and are great at punching others in the face. Third on our list is Dwarves. They are built for fighting and tanking hits like no one's business, but they are one of the slowest teams out there. They are also somewhat expensive, which means that a full team will result in less supporting items. But if you want a solid wall to break an enemy play, you can't beat them. And now for a familiar face from Mordheim, we've got the Skaven. The Skaven are our first running team. While the Dwarves and Orcs favour beating the other teams into the ground and then walking the ball freely to the end zone, running teams like the Skaven are more about playing the ball, dodging and running around the other team to score points. They are also one of the teams that, when a player levels up, has the chance to gain mutations to help fulfill their role on the Blood Bowl pitch, rather than just standard abilities. And here comes the first of the Elven teams. While all Elven teams that we're going to mention tend towards the running team trope, the High Elves are a bit more tanky than their peers. They also benefit from having their players be able to adapt to a given task if the situation calls for it, even if they tend to be better at certain roles. In contrast to the High Elves, who are the, well, stock standard Elven team, we have the Dark Elves. The Dark Elves are a bit more interesting. While they can benefit from the running game like other Elven teams, their playstyle benefits from some rather interesting and downright nasty skills and abilities to help them deal with their enemies. However, as the game itself states, their specialized players tend to be soft and squishy. Do you like knights? Do you like having peasants take the hits for you? Then the Bretonnian team is the one for you. They are a bit more punchy than the stock standard human team, with their blitzes being rather talented, if expensive and limited in number. Don't have a lot to say on these guys, honestly. And now we come to the first of the Chaos teams. There's only two of them, but the Chaos game plan is literally built on the bones of the enemy team. Mutations, like this game, are common, and when it comes to a brawl, there are few who can hope to match them. But at least early on, their games tend to suffer from a lack of skills for things like picking up the ball or passing it to other players. It's very much a case of if everyone is dead, then there's no one to stop you from scoring. The third Elven team. The Wood Elves are not made for a fight. They have sacrificed armor and the ability to deliver a solid smack to the face to be nigh on impossible to stop once they get moving, and for their abilities to handle the ball when it comes to throwing and catching it. They also tend to be difficult to actually take down in practice, since often the only thing that'll connect with them in a meaningful way is a solid hit. Anything else tends to do nothing. The Lizard Men are something of a best of both worlds kind of team. They have players who are powerful fighters, and players who are good at handling the ball. However, the ones who can handle the ball tend not to be good fighters, and the good fighters can't really handle the ball. Moving on, we have another one of our human teams, the Norse. The Norse have a somewhat reckless playstyle. While all their players benefit from the block skill, and they are somewhat better at fighting than the stock standard human, for a team made for fighting, they have somewhat low strength, and due to their lack of armor, they can be hurt pretty easily if things go wrong. There are a number of undead teams, but this particular undead team is the stock standard. The undead benefit from the skill regeneration, so things that are crippling to other teams, such as injuries or death, are not as crippling as may first seem if Nuffle is smiling on you. They are also a fairly good fighting team as well, though their ghoul players tend to be vital for actually scoring points. The Necromantic team is much like the undead team, only instead of being dedicated purely to fighting, with only one or two players being able to handle the ball, the Necromantic team removes some of its combat ability in exchange for having a faster team that can handle the ball a bit better. They also have werewolves. So really up to you, the choice is yours. Moving on to the second Chaos team, the Nurgle team. They're kind of a mix between the standard Chaos team and the undead team, in that their most important players have regeneration. Though, on the downside is that their front line is usually comprised of rotters. Rotters are fairly easy to hurt, since all of them come with the debuff Decay. In the event that a rotter is injured, they roll on the injury chart twice and take both results. However, if the member of the Nurgle team kills a member of the opposite team, that dead player will be raised from the grave as a rotter and join the Nurgle team. So, rots is maybe easy to hurt, but they're also easy and cheap to replace. So really up to you. Truth be told, I'm not really that familiar with the Khemra team. I've never played against them, and I've never really played with them, as them. So I don't really have a whole lot to go on information-wise. Though from what I can tell, they appear to be a fighting team. They also have regeneration, which is a nice touch, but I'm honestly not sure what they mean about their heavy hitters and the Tomb Guardians falling apart. The Chaos Dwarves are similar to the Dwarven team, but they have a somewhat different playstyle. While the Chaos Dwarves themselves are solid fighters, you only get 6 of them on the team, so you have the fast-moving and hard-hitting Centaurs and the Hobgoblins to fill in the rest. While they don't start off with any ball-handling ability, I know from personal experience that the Hobgoblins can find themselves filling a number of roles if they get the chance to level up. This team also gets up to benefit from mutations while leveling as well, which not all the other teams can. The Amazons are a human team, and they're kind of like if humans were elves, in that they're built around playing the ball and dodging past the other enemy teams. They're not much like the elven teams. If you can actually land a hit, they tend to be somewhat easy to injure, but some of their heroes can actually be pretty fighty themselves. So, moving on, we've got the Vampire team. The Vampire team is interesting because it only has 2 classes of player, the Thralls and the Vampires themselves. The Thralls are akin to normal humans and are thus fairly competent, if not impressive, but the Vampires themselves are what makes this team, since they are not only strong and fast, but also come with an ability called Hypnotic Gaze, which can be used to stun enemy players to allow for a play. Sadly, the Vampires also have a price. Every time they do something, they roll a d6 dice. On a 1, they have to end their turn near a Thrall to drink their blood, which risks injuring the Thrall. If they don't end their turn near a Thrall, they'll leave the pitch to get a drink from the crowd instead. The Kislev Circus is a human team designed to do risky, stupid plays in an entertaining way and having a chance of actually pulling them off. However, much like all high-risk, high-reward systems, when things go wrong for them, it goes very wrong rather quickly. Real quickly. The Goblin team are built around playing the ball somewhat, in that they can pick it up and dodge. They also have 2 large fighting trolls. They rely on bribing the referee and employing a number of weapons of questionable legality to maim and cripple the opposition. Weapons like explosives, wrecking balls on a chain, and a full-on chainsaw. Granted, these secret weapons see only limited use on the pitch. They can also do some serious harm in the process. Usually to the other team, but if things go wrong, they can harm yourselves as well. Sadly, the goblins themselves tend to be rather easily hurt. Honestly, this isn't so much a team you play if you intend to win. This is something you play for fun, and to really screw with someone else's day. Moving on. Halflings are considered to be one of the worst teams in Blood Bowl. And for good reason. They can't really fight, they can't really play the ball, and they tend to be slow as hell. The only things they've got going for them are their two Treeman fighters and the fact they have a heavy discount on purchasing a Master Chef for matches. The Master Chef causes a random number of the enemy's rerolls to be given to the team that hide him at the start of the two halves of the game. This can vary from none to quite a lot, which can be really beneficial. Dodge is also standard for all halflings, meaning that one needs to get a solid hit to bring him down. Sadly, because of their lack of fighting ability, that isn't very hard. The Underworld Denizens are a mutation team, but unlike the other teams that benefit from mutations, they aren't a fighting team, meaning they don't earn their levels via fighting. At least, not most of it. A mixture of Skaven and Goblins with a big troll guy, the team isn't the best at any one thing, which can hurt them when going up against a team that specializes in an area. They also don't really like each other and have to roll the dice to see if their hatred gets the better of them when passing or throwing the ball. They will outright refuse to do so if they fail it. Most teams have at least one big guy whose job it is to smack the other team around. Some have two. The Ogre team has 6. To make up for this impressive amount of punching power, the rest of the team is made up of Noblar. There is nothing in Blood Bowl as pathetically weak as the Noblar, but to make up for this, they are some of the hardest to hit little shits the world has to offer. It tends not to go well for them if they are hit, however. And finally, the last team on the list, and the final Elven team, the Elven Union. They are the aggressive Elven team. They can play the ball well, and they're not afraid of getting into a fight like the other Elven's teams do. But of course, this also means they tend to have a somewhat higher than normal fatality rate. Whew. When I started this, I didn't intend for it to be this long, but I forgot just how many different teams in Blood Bowl there actually are. And this isn't even counting the mixed teams. Still, I'll leave a straw poll in the description so that you can all cast your votes. As I said in the beginning, I'll also take suggestions for like team names and colors as well. My name is Brightops, and I look forward to hearing from you.